We are going to talk about one of my favorite things, the design for your market booth. The idea of adding your brand into your market booth is really important because you're trying to draw in new customers. And in this video, I'm going to help you guys to figure out how you can keep yourself on brand, but also a few tips to incorporate into making your booth just a little bit extra special so that customers are intrigued and want to come into your booth and they love the experience they have with you and will hopefully become lifelong customers. If you're new here, my name's Caitlin. I make videos all about small business and helping you grow your small business so you can quit that 9-to-5 and build your dream life. I did that for myself. I built my soap and cosmetics business into a full-time job that now fully supports me, and I get to share all of my best tips and tricks with you in the hopes that you can do the same. So in this video, we're going to talk about design of your market booth, and I had done so much research for myself when I was setting up my booth, and I've been doing markets for about 3.5 years now, and I've done all different kinds, from a local high school market to a weekend-long full-fledged event. It's really important to not skip over this part of design. I know it's an added expense that might seem frivolous at first, but you have to think about your booth as almost as if you had a storefront. You want to make it such a great experience that customers feel something when they walk into your booth. They don't want it to seem just like you're selling whatever's on the table. And I do have 2 previous videos on market, so if you missed those 2, you can go ahead and check those out after you watch this one. I am probably going to mention on brand a ton throughout this video. It's something I'm really passionate about. My brand is very feminine and floral and pink. It's kind of how I roll. So you want to look at what your brand is. That means your brand colors, different fonts, different organic elements. Are you more natural? Do you have a lot more wood? Are you a little bit more glam? Is gold one of your colors? You want to make sure you incorporate gold. So start to, if you haven't already done that, start to lay out almost like a mood board type situation of your brand and figure out what are those elements that really make a customer feel like they're shopping from your brand. If you sell essential oils, you might want to have some green plants and some more nature inspired things. Gold might not be your speed. You might want to incorporate a nice like oak or maple shelf system that feels very organic. So that's what I mean when I say on brand. You definitely have to know your brand and know that first and do that first step. But once you have that, start to figure out what colors you're going to use to make a really cohesive statement. And it doesn't have to be huge. It can be really small things, which we'll get into in a little bit. So display pieces, like your shelving and your tables, the biggest thing here is to create height. You have to imagine that you're a customer walking by a sea of white booths and your eyes need to be caught by something. And if someone walks by your booth and everything you have is on a flat surface, it is not going to draw them in. So in a previous video, I talked about going into a store like an Anthropologie that does an amazing job with their merchandising. You'll notice on their tables, they have quite a few boxes and risers where they sort of create this cascade effect. So if you are merchandising on folding tables, which is a great way to set up your booth and fill out space, just make sure that you have some of those pieces that you can start to build a very eye-catching display. You don't need to spend a lot of money here. You can get crates from like a Home Goods or even a Target, and a little bit goes a long way. So you don't need these massive unique displays either. I actually had used some floating shelves at one point to sort of create some more height and dimension, and that little bit just created a much more exciting visual experience when you walked into my booth. If you're not going to individually price your products and you're going to do more of a price sheet, an easy way to incorporate your brand is to get picture frames for those price sheets that are on brand to you. So again, either a organic wood if that's more of your vibe. I went with these gold frames and I bought a ton of them at TJ Maxx. They were all under $10, so it's not a huge investment, and I have them forever, and I can just switch out the inserts whenever I want to or change something. And having that gold really helped, and I just bought a ton of them and put them everywhere. You're gonna need more than you think. You need to have at least 4 or 5 if you're in like a 10 by 10 booth to have price lists, because if you have a ton of customers in there and it's really tight, you want to make sure that customers can see your prices from almost every angle in that booth. The other thing I incorporated into my booths, which was really great, at the time, letterboards were a huge thing. I know they're not as big right now, but it was something I bought on Amazon. I bought 4 of them, and I've been able to switch out different sayings and different quotes, and I would put my Instagram handle down below at the bottom of it, and it was awesome because people would actually take photos. If you are really creative and funny, and you can create some really cool quotes and things that people want to take a photo of, and they might actually tag you, and that helps get the ball rolling as far as social media exposure, getting new followers, and getting people to talk about your brand. So you want to try and create some kind of Instagrammable moment in your booth so that people will share. Even if they're not buying, if they're sharing your display or sharing something cool, then that's a plus in my book. Something else I included a lot of was faux florals. My business name is Fiorella Soapery, which is Italian for little flowers, and all of my packaging is very floral, as am I, so I wanted to bring some kind of floral element in. It was so much more cost effective to do faux florals, and I just went to Michael's one day when they had their like 50% off floral sale or whatever. Everything's always on sale there anyway, but I bought some different flowers and some bouquets, and I think I bought 4 or 5 different vases from Target, and I just put them all throughout my booth. Having those faux flowers definitely added an extra layer to my booth that I think created some nice dimension. And because of that, I also ended up doing some floral garlands that I would hang from all 4 corners of my booth. I don't know that those were as impactful because you do get lost a little bit. When I had my booth and the big white shelves there in the front, they looked really nice, but as you got towards the back, they got a little lost. So I'm not sure that you need to 100% do things like that, but I still brought more of my brand in. If I had a bigger budget at the time, I would have tried to do something like a flower wall that people could take photos at, something really cool that again, they could Instagram or now TikTok or something cool. And having those extra moments just brings people into your booth and just makes it so much more exciting. Okay, my thoughts on rugs. I saw a lot of rugs when I was doing some of my inspiration looking, and I bought one. I bought like an outdoor rug from World Market, and it was almost too much of a hassle and a liability because people will trip. When someone's walking into your booth, they're not thinking to look down. They are looking at what your products are, and they're looking around, and if you have a rug that someone doesn't see, they're going to probably trip over it. Unless you're indoors maybe and you have the ability for it to be completely flat, I've just never found a rug situation to be super safe, and I would rather err on safety. It does look so cute, and I really wanted it to work, but I laid it out, and the first customer that came into my booth tripped over the corner of it. She was fine, but just that little bit at the beginning of the day just caused me to say like, nope, we're not gonna go there. So I would just say, if you're looking at images and you love the idea of adding a rug or something on the ground or the floor, you have to think about customers and their safety. And I would probably just say you can spend your money elsewhere in trying to decorate your booth than to do something like that where it just may not work out. One of the biggest things that helped me in the beginning before I had even done my first market was to create an inspiration board on Pinterest. It's actually kind of hard to find other people's booth displays. There might be more now. That was a couple years ago, and I certainly put a bunch of photos up of my own, so you'll probably see some of mine. And I did that because I wanted to share with people what you could do, because I think it can be really overwhelming when you're going to do your first market and trying to figure out what is important and what will create impact and how to do stuff. So although I'm giving you a lot of tips on design, definitely go and check out other people, because you might be inspired by somebody else's visuals and they might actually have some great tutorials on Pinterest of some DIY displays you could do. My husband and I built these white shelves because I couldn't find anything on the market that was affordable enough, and so we built these because I saw something on Pinterest. And then these gold displays that I had here, these baskets, they're from World Market. I just spray painted them gold to be more on brand with what I was doing, and I keep little bath bombs and my mini whipped soaps in there. And so those little things were great. So I've shared a lot of that on Pinterest, and all the links to things are down below that I'm showing you today. But highly suggest going on Pinterest and just looking for different merchandising store display ideas, backdrop ideas, things that you can do for your market display booth, and just start to collect things. And you know what? If you're new at doing markets, you're not gonna nail it the first time, and that's fine. You can always tweak down the road. So if you are really stuck because you're buying all of the things that you have to buy, like your tent and your tables, and you don't have money for all these fun display pieces, maybe just buy one thing. If you haven't watched the other 2 videos of this market series, they will be tagged down below, and then you can also catch the last video next week. I am going to talk about the 10 things that you should never do at a market. There are some pretty strong opinions on that one, so make sure you come back to check out that video. But I will see you in the next one. Bye!